Welcome back to the LPR Trading Group YouTube channel. It's Dave again. I've got another video for you guys today. Today we are going to answer Rajat's question here. He's appreciating the content. He really enjoys what he sees. He's looking for a deep dive tutorial on the DOM, the price ladder trading, along with best customizations. So for DOM and price ladder, I use Jigsaw, and I only use Jigsaw for the DOM. I don't use any other features on Jigsaw, just the DOM and a time and sales. So I will show you guys what I use in Jigsaw. I will show you some customization features, and I'll give you all the knowledge that I have on Jigsaw. It's not a platform that you can dig super deep into in terms of all these little knickknacks and whatnot. It's really good at face value. There is customization, don't get me wrong. Maybe I fumbled on that statement a bit, but it's not going to be like other platforms where you can make them look like alien spaceships and whatnot. It does its job. It does its job well when it comes to the DOM, and we'll get into the video and I will show you guys what it's all about. Sit back and enjoy. All right, let's get into this video here. As you guys know from the intro, we're going to be talking about Jigsaw, DOM settings, and pretty much what I use in terms of Jigsaw. I don't use the platform to its full extent. I do believe there are some items on Jigsaw. I don't want to say they're unusable, but there are so much better platforms out there. In terms of Jigsaw and its DOM, which is what I use, I love this. I think it's second to none. I've tried to get away from it. I can't, so this is what we're going to talk about today. So what I want to do before we start talking about the DOM, I want to show you a recording. This is just a random recording I brought up back from September 20th of this year. Because we're running outside market hours right now, the DOM's going to be really slow and thin. So I want to give you guys a visual right here of what the DOM is going to look like in action. Now I have the video paused right here. While I have it paused, I want to talk about some columns. So first off, we'll go left to right in this DOM window here. Let's not focus on this. This is just an MES DOM right here that I use to take some other trades on as well. So we'll go left to right inside this DOM ladder. Now, the furthest left column right here, this blank column, this is a notes column. You can actually click on one of these cells and write something within the cell. If you have a key price level, a high volume area, high of day, low of day, whatever it is, however you trade, you could mark a key level in these areas. So when a ladder's running, if you don't reference a chart, you could see that area on the ladder or on the DOM. The next area right here that I've actually removed from my charts, especially on MES here, is your P&L. So these zeros are going to be your entry, and then this would be how much money you would make to the upside based on where price is going or could go, and this is how much money you're going to lose to the downside. So as you can see, I've got one ES contract here long. This would be my risk right here in this area, and depending on where I took my targets or profit, this is what my profit would be. I highly encourage you guys to remove this section or this column of Jigsaw. P&L does nothing good for you. The only reason it's still up there for me is I don't really look at it, and I don't really care, to be honest with you. I just trade the trade, and that's it. It either works or it doesn't. With that being said, I will be getting rid of this, and it is actually removed from my charts, or my DOM, sorry. The next column here is going to be a volume column, okay? So it's going to be like volume profile. Now, I don't really focus on volume profile within the DOM. A lot of people who use volume profile inside of the DOM, they'll take this column and they'll make it much larger. So something like this. So you can actually see the high volume nodes and the low volume areas within the volume profile. Now, I will expand it if I want to look at something, but I have other means of volume profile over here. I've got stuff on footprint, stuff on other charts on other screens, etc., etc. That's the volume profile. If you would like to use it, it absolutely works. It's great. It's going to mark out, for example, your value areas, which would be the purple area. So this would be the highest volume traded since you launch your session. And I think I've got it set at the top 60 or 70% of volume establishes the value area. There's going to be some other things here. This purple line or purple cell will be your point of control. So POC, highest volume node. This green guy right here will be VWAP. So there are some volume indicators and whatnot that you can put into your DOM just like this so you can see it off the ladder. Now, a lot of people who are trading order flow are just trading off the DOM. So this is where this volume stuff becomes extremely useful. Your point of controls, possibly your VWAPs, etc., and using this column to be able to mark out maybe some key momentum levels, some key supplies, some key demand areas, right? If you're not using a chart and you can't physically see what happened in the past, like on this footprint chart here, it would be very critical to use all of these columns here. Now the next column is going to be price. Now there's one interesting thing about the price column. Number one, the green price is going to be your entry. Number two, you can see that down at this area, this 88.6550, the price column has changed colors. This is an area that price has not reached yet since I launched my session, okay? Once price, if price goes down below this low, these numbers will look like these numbers. So if the numbers have a light gray background and they're white, you know price has been there in that session. If they're black with a darker gray background, you know price has not reached that area within this session. The next column here, and listen, once we go through this, I will go into Jigsaw and go into its settings here. I just want to show you guys what the DOM looks like in more of a real-time sort of scenario. This next column here, these are orders that are being added or subtracted to the offer, and down here, added or subtracted from the bid. Now, let me see if I can play some of this and see if we can see some numbers show up in this area. So you see these numbers right here, this little battle going on? I know they're just flashes, but these are contracts, 120 contracts getting added to the offer. 169 came in getting added to the offer. So these are contracts being added to the bid or the offer at any given moment. Now, where these become super useful for me is if we see an iceberg type order, price pushes up, it starts stalling at the 74.50s, and I can see thousands of contracts coming in here at the offer, and I can also see in my other columns thousands of contracts being built up here on the right side, which are the total number of trades for this tick value. We'll pause this again here. This next column right here is going to be all the prices down on the bid. Okay? These are all the bid prices. So passive orders sitting down here on the bid. We've got 108 contracts sitting at 38.70. 38.69.75, 134 contracts, etc., etc. These two columns here are more recent trades. Now, you can set a time interval on these things. You can say, okay, once there's a transaction on the bid at this area at 139, I want this to stay here for 10 seconds. Add any other price action that happens within the next 10 seconds to this price, and then you will get this accumulation of aggression to the bid or the offer that you can see very visually. I don't reference this column very much unless I'm looking for momentum breaks or momentum breakdowns if I'm already in a trade to see if we're going to get follow through here. Within these columns, you can see current price right here is highlighted. Now, current price is highlighted, and we also see these faded areas that are pushing above price in this situation. These are momentum tails. I have them on the chart or on the DOM. I've tried them. I don't reference them very much. I could see momentum much better in other areas of our trading. I don't reference these momentum tails very much, but you can use them in such a way that if price hits a level and continues through it, you could see a huge momentum tail. Again, we can set the timer on the momentum tail to say I want each sell or each tick value of the momentum tail to stay for X amount of seconds. So if the market is just ebb and flowing, right, vertically, vertical auction, the market's moving up and down, and our momentum tails are like maybe 4 or 5 tails on average, and then we just see this huge like 12 tick tail. This is an anomaly, right? You trade it how you will, but this is how they could be used. If we go on to the next column here, which is this red guy, these are all the passive orders stacked on the offer, right? So above price. We've got 256 contracts here stacked at 38.73.50, etc., etc. So these are passive orders stacked on the offer. This right here is the accumulation of bids and offer transactions for the session. Okay, so if we looked at volume, for example, I've probably deleted these at one point, but I'll show you. If you look at volume, for example, on your session, these numbers should add up, right? These are like aggressive orders to bid or offer. You can use this sort of like a volume profile. You can also see when icebergs start stacking up here, these areas, there'll just be like one area that's really large here, not like a high volume area that we're trading in here, but one area that's really large that's taking a lot of contracts, typically an iceberg order in that area. Okay, now what I will do is I'm going to actually drop this down here and we'll go to the platform. So this is Jigsaw here, the DOM on the right hand side, and this is what we're going to be talking about. Let's talk about all of the buttons within the DOM. Now listen, Jigsaw offers more features. They offer charts and all this other stuff, you know, footprints. To me, I don't like anything else but the DOM, so this is what I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about things I don't use or that I don't like. I will talk about the DOM in this section. Okay, so this first button right here, this is a center button. You can also bind this to a hotkey. If I click this, it will center price on the middle of the screen. This is super helpful if you have, for example, two DOMs up. You can bind a hotkey that would refresh or recenter both DOMs. So for example, if this DOM was all the way up here and this one was down here, you could have a hotkey where if you click, let's say, Shift R, it would recenter both of these DOMs simultaneously, which is super helpful. This guy right here is clear total trades. So this will clear all of the trades within the DOM window. Now if I click these guys right here, this is clear total trades up. I will click it. We have the trades on the upper end of the price or above the price getting cleared. This guy right here, clear total trades down. It's cleared the total transactions at that tick value below price. Now right here, if we go here, current trades up and current trades down, that is this area. The two in the middle, the two columns in the middle. Current trades column, we'll clear that to the upside, clear that to the downside. This will remove any alerts. This is clear volume profile, so if I click this, poof, our whole volume profile is gone. It will wait and it will start printing more volume and populating again. I find these buttons pretty useful, these guys here and these guys here. If price gets into a certain area that I want to trade, for example, okay, we're in an area that I want to trade, I like to clear everything. I already know from my footprint charts there's a reason why I'm trading that area, whether it's volume or whatever it is. I want to see what the interaction is right now with no other noise. So this is a great feature. You can also bind these to hotkeys. Clear all the trades so we're super clean and we can see the transactions happening without any noise. We go over here, these are strength meters. I don't use them, I'm not going to talk about them, but it's bid offer pressure, yada yada yada. I don't use them. I tried them, it doesn't do anything for me. We go into the settings here. Now this is where Jigsaw gets super deep, okay? There's a lot of things that you can customize here. I will try and go through everything that I use. Now, what I like to use here, I've recently switched my data connection over to CQG, so unfortunately CQG doesn't have a very deep book in terms of offer and the bids. I will likely get another Rhythmic connection to run at least one account on Rhythmic so I can have a deeper book. That being said, the main settings in the parameters area right here, I have market depth, snapshot filter, and snapshot depth set to 100. That means in these columns, we're going to be able to see a lot more data, okay? So I think CQG by default gives us like 20. Rhythmic, and if you have this 100 snapshot depth on, market depth and snapshot filter, you're going to have 100 layers of depth. If I pull this back up, this is off of a Rhythmic connection. You see how much more depth I have here? How much deeper in the book I can see? This isn't super important to me as I have the footprint so I can go back and reference what happened in the book, but I do really like it. These are all of the columns that I use and the columns that we talked about. Now what you can do here is when you drop the columns in, Jigsaw is super finicky like this. I'm Like I can't even get it to work out right here. So if you go at the top of a column here, you get that little pointer up here, the little finger pointer. You can actually click this column and drag them over, or you can resize them, right? So if we resize them like this, what I had to do, because I didn't know we could do this, is I had to remove all of this, figure out which columns were which, where I wanted them, and click them back in one by one in order from how I wanted the columns. A little bit of a pain in the butt, but I mean, it is what it is. Here's the clear trades time interval. So it'll clear trades in 2500 milliseconds. I believe that's calculating there. Update interval. These are all my settings here. I don't really mess with these. Momentum tails, that's the interval, etc., etc. These are your colors. So you can actually change all of the colors on all of these backgrounds, this background. You can change colors when you enter trades, what your buys, what your sells look like, blah, blah, blah. This is completely up to you guys, okay? Bid depth, what are the colors? You know, current at bid, current at ask depth. So these are all just like super customizable colors, and you guys can go wild with this. Now we get into the shortcut keys or the hotkeys. I only use 3 hotkeys. I use buy market, I use sell market, I use flat, and I use the recenter. Okay, those are the only hotkeys I use. A lot of people are going to ask, like, why don't you use limit order hotkeys? It's just easier to click the DOM, and I will show you guys that. Trading, nothing in here really. These are the power meters if you're going to use them. Look at those settings. Some of the stuff, you know, where your files are downloaded, blah, blah, blah. And this is an auction vista here. So I know some of you guys that are using Jigsaw or wanting to use Jigsaw, you will likely use or try to use this auction vista, which is totally fine. I tried to use it and I used it for a while. I just found footprints are better. This will give us, depending on your settings, these settings up here, it will give you these bubbles that will identify bid or offer pressure, okay? These honestly just made me overtrade. Ooh, big blue bubble. Got to do this. Ooh, big red bubble. Got to do this. So I tried it out. I messed around with the settings. It just wasn't for me. Footprints gave me way, way better information. Now, if we move on to the DOM areas, okay, in terms of trading, actually one more thing here I'm going to show you guys. This right here, trade settings, if we click this, it's going to bring up one of these guys in the bottom right hand corner, okay? And this is where you can execute orders out of your DOM. This guy right here, Auction Vista, and then this guy right here is going to be where you type in your symbol that you want to look at, you know, whatever it is, ES, MES, CL, NQ, MNQ. And now when we get into trading the DOM, how do we work off this DOM? Well, we've got a few things here. Number one, we've got our contract sizes. So you can actually change these to whatever you want. If I right click this and I say I want this to be 8 and I hit the check mark, it's going to be 8, right? So I'd have 8, 2, 3, 4, 5. This right here is like a custom selection. So if you don't have the quantity that you want within this area, you could put in a 6, and now you're going to be trading 6 contracts. You can also hotkey these buttons. So let's say shift 1, shift 2, shift 3, shift 4, shift 5. So you could cycle through your contract sizes. So you don't have to physically go here and click this with your mouse. You could shift 1, I want 1 contract, shift Q, buy, right? And it'd probably be faster than finding your mouse, coming over here, clicking 1, and then clicking buy. These orders down here are these stop, limit, SL, SV, auto, SO. Don't touch any of this. I recommend you don't touch any of it. Jigsaw is pretty sophisticated in knowing what order you're trying to put in. Unless you're doing something really wild in your trading, you could just leave this on auto. If you're a day trader, I would say leave this for day, not till cancel, because you could leave orders in the market by accident. So these will get rid of your orders at the end of the day. In terms of Jigsaw being sophisticated with this auto setting here, knowing whether you're trying to stop out, limit buy, blah, 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 whatever it is, if this is the bid column right here, and I clicked below price, it's going to know I want 1 limit. I want to buy 1 order, limit at the bid, 366,525, okay? I like this about Jigsaw too. I'm in a queue. I'm Q17 right now. So there's 16 contracts ahead of me to get filled. Now, if I did the same on the upside in the sell column, it would tell me, 1, limit. I want to sell when we get up here. I'm Q23. Nice thing about Jigsaw is when you have an order in here, we can grab this order and move this order just like this, right? Move it up, move it down, whatever it is. If you want to hit L2P, which is right down here, that's limit to price. If I hit limit to price and then I just click a price, it would move it to that price without dragging it. So if you're super scalpy, this could be very useful. Again, you could use L2P and bind that to a hotkey. So you're in a trade, say your hotkey is Shift R for L2P, you would hit Shift R and you would just click here and the price would move. So that's a pretty convenient feature there. S2P is the same thing, it's stop to price. So if you have a stop in and you hit Shift F or whatever your hotkey would be, Shift F, that selects S2P, you click where you want your new stop to be, it will move your new stop there. The only reason I don't use it more often is because, for example, if I am long here, I have a stop order here, and this stop order is for 3 contracts, and on the upside of price, I say sell 1, sell 1, sell 1. So I've layered out 3, 1 cancels the other orders. I've got 3 contracts for a stop, 1 contract here, 1 here, 1 here. Now, if I hit limit to price L2P and I clicked this price, it would bring all of these limit orders down to this price. And it would essentially screw my orders up. So this is one of the only reasons I don't use this very often. I thought I could figure out a way around it. Maybe there is a way around it. I just don't use it. If it doesn't work, I don't want it. So I don't use that feature very often, sorry. But if you're blocking your trades, like I'm long, 5 contract stop, 5 contract target, it will work much better for you. OCO, these are 1 cancels the other orders. So I'll go over here and I'll show you on this DOM as well. OCO, 1 cancels the other. So for example, if I have an OCO order in and I click down here at 36675, nothing is going to show up until I click the other side of my OCO. Okay? So this is a stop buy. If price goes up, it's going to buy as soon as we get through this 368625. This is a limit buy. So the way the OCO works is if price pulls back into this limit buy area we fill, it will actually cancel this order. Okay? Where this becomes useful is if we're in a trade and we're trying to set a stop and a target, or a stop and multiple targets. Now the way I would do this is, it's going to look a bit funny because we're not in a trade right now. It's the after hour session and I don't trade this. But if I was long right here, let's say 367625, okay, and then I had 3 contracts, and I wanted to put 3 partials out, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. All I would do is click OCO, make sure I have 1 contract selected. I would put this, in this case, if I'm long, I'd put it in the sell column. I'd click here, I'd click here. Now I have 1 contract in. I would OCO again, click here, here, OCO again, click here and here. So now I have 3 contracts on the stop, 1 on the limit here, 1 on the limit here, 1 on the limit here. Now, once we do this, we can actually take these orders, move them around, set them to our targets, look at whatever we got to look at, adjust our stop, bring it up a little bit. And if you just want to bail the trade and you have all these orders in, you just hit flat. And when you flat, it will liquidate all of your positions and close all of your orders within this DOM on this symbol. Okay? These buttons here are just buy market, sell market, join offer, join bid. I don't use these buttons. I just have hotkeys, market buy, market sell, and then I'll actually just physically click in limit orders. Like if I wanted to buy down at these prices, I would just physically put limit orders here. And when my limit orders are sitting there, I might also put a stop here. Okay? If this was going to be a trade for me. Comes down, fills my limits. This is my stop. If it hits the stop, I stop out. Okay, we'll cancel all those orders. This is a trail. So this down in the bottom right hand corner, this will trail your stop. If you're in a position, you bought here, and you want a 10 tick trailing stop, and I went like this, 10, hit trail, and I bought, and I just put an order here, it would trail this. You see how that just trailed? Because I'm telling this to trail price by 10 ticks, okay? So that will do exactly that with your stop. That's pretty much for these DOM areas and the way that you execute orders through the DOMs. The only other thing I really have here is this level 2 area. I really like, or sorry, time and sales. I really like this time and sales here on Jigsaw because of the coloring. It's just red and blue. It's very simple. When we get aggressive participation on the offer, this won't just print blue. The whole background of the print will be blue with white writing, I believe the writing is. Same with the bid. If we have large aggression on the bid side, the whole backside of these red prints will be like a red background with white text, I believe, or black text. Anyways, it's really bright. It's really vibrant. I don't even really care about the times, the contracts that came through, nothing. It's like a peripheral thing for me. I'm looking at it with my peripherals, and if I see like bright red, I know there's aggression on the bid. If I see bright blue, I know there's some aggression there on the offer. And as for Jigsaw, that's really all I use. Where I use the DOM mostly is I like to see where the stacks of orders are sitting. Okay, so like when I showed you guys in the, we'll pop this up again if it's still alive. I like to see where these stacks of orders are. With this rhythmic connection, it'll be super easy to see this. I do not play trade, like I don't short trades in front of these big stacks. I typically call them market food. They're high liquidity zones that traders are putting out there on the market for everyone to see. The market usually likes to go there and pick up that liquidity before it does anything else. I also look at it to identify when an iceberg is transacting. I can also tell the size of the iceberg by looking in these columns after it's done, because I told you once we run into an area of interest, I'm typically refreshing my DOM or deleting, clearing these trades so you get very clean price action. Outside of that, to be quite honest with you, I much prefer looking at footprints for the intraday volume transactions and sort of ebb and flow between prices. It's easier because it happens real time, but it also prints us something historically on the footprint chart that we can go back and reference and say, oh yeah, like this is what happened X amount of minutes ago, or at this price or at that price. With that being said, the way that Jigsaw interacts with the end user and the way the end user can interact with Jigsaw's DOM is fantastic. I love it. I'll keep using it, but these are the only features I will use within Jigsaw, and I do not want to talk about any other stuff because I don't use it. I can't back it up with evidence of me using it and saying it's good or it's not, so it'd probably be just a waste of time. So we'll leave it at that. I know this was a bit long-winded for a short DOM video, but I hope some of you guys enjoyed. As always, like, comment, subscribe. I will get back to every single one of your comments. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and we'll see you on the charts tomorrow.